Good morning, Woodward. We're actually going ahead and filming this early on, or sort of early, on Thursday, October 17th. Had to kind of check the date. We are here today wanting to do kind of a special section of Off the Press, and I'm Rachel Van Horn from Woodward News, and this is Steve Tanio from the District 26 District Attorney's Council. What is your official title?
I'm a DA's investigator for the state of Oklahoma, but primarily for Chris Boring's 5-county district here in northwest Oklahoma.
And what kinds of crimes do you typically investigate most? What is your background?
I've been in law enforcement my entire adult career. I retired from the OSBI as a special agent in 2006. And then in 2008, I came and worked for the district attorney. At that time, it was Hollis Thorpe. And then later on, when Chris Boring was elected, I stayed on with the office. But primarily assist the agencies in our 5-county district with crimes that they don't have the resources to, or that OSBI is overwhelmed with working major cases they need help on. So from way back when, from the OSBI, but when I came back on, we were in 2008 through 2009, digital communications, the advent of cell phones, and how they've grown exponentially along with the internet service providers like Snapchat or TikTok, and then everything that the kids are on, Minecraft now and Roblox. It's just given a different aspect of criminal behavior on those devices. So I started specializing in doing a lot of that. So joined the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. It's a nationwide task force in 2009. And as everybody's aware, rural Oklahoma, most of the law enforcement is pretty patrol, traffic oriented. Woodward has a detective agency, but not a lot of the rural agencies do. So we assist them in cases like that.
And from what I understand, this is something that is just real insidiously creeping into the lives of people who think that that these kinds of crimes against children that are done through the internet and through all of these gaming sites and all of these social media sites, these are things that people kind of think that they are aware of. Many families think that they have control over it. They've even put certain blocks and things like that on their children, but they're still able to sort of get through some of this.
Yeah, for the most part, we try to give our children responsibilities, but as often I'm doing it, I try not to have a jaded look because I see so much of this. But just like when I talk to the kids at school, from third graders all the way up to Northwestern college athletes, there's nothing bad with a car or an automobile, but bad things can happen. If you drink and drive, text and drive, bad things can happen. You can even die in a crash. Same thing with technology, same thing with all these apps. But inherently by themselves, there's nothing bad, but bad things can happen with it. Bad actors, criminals are using those devices to prey on the kids. They're on all the time. So parents need to understand, cell phone's not a bad thing, but it can be a dangerous tool in the hands of kids that don't have the intellectual capability to be responsible for that. So if we're not taking away from them at night, like I do with my kids, they knew on a school night, and that was like Sunday night through Thursday night, they had to bring their phones into our bedroom. We'd plug them in our bathroom, and they could have it the next day when they woke up. But it's too easy if the phone's hanging next to your bed, and parents are aware like that. You get a Facebook post, or you get a Snap account, or you get bored, and I'm just going to play Angry Birds or whatever game for just a little bit, and 2 or 3 hours goes away, and all of a sudden it's 4 o'clock in the morning. And you're going to catch up on sleep. For our kids, if we're responsible adults, we want those kids to learn what they're doing in class and not falling asleep during the classes. So part of that is limiting their access to technology, and understanding that's still a developing brain, right? That's a long organ in the body that takes the longest to fully develop, till you're about 24, 25. So having kids as young as like 8-year-olds old or 13 or 14-year-olds having those devices unsupervised, we're not spending the extra money to put like some parental app, like Bark, for instance, or other apps to help monitor what your kids are doing online. you're just asking for trouble for the most part.
Right. So it's, and of course, you talk about just the mental health, the ability for sleep, but also there are some real predators. And one of the subjects we came to talk about today is a very uncomfortable subject to discuss, and it's called sextortion.
Right.
So, can you describe to the people what sextortion is and how it happens?
Yeah, so sextortion is basically exploiting somebody for sexual purposes, and we're seeing it more and more on digital apps. So initially, prior to about like October of 21, the majority of my sextortion was involving young female teenagers, some males, but primarily females being extorted for more nude pictures or actually meeting for physical acts. One of the first cases when I came back to the district attorney's office in 2008 was a young lady. She was 12 years old in Alva, Oklahoma. Her mom had called because her daughter had disclosed that she was meeting a guy at a motel. Make a long story short, we were able to track the guy down. He was from Colorado Springs. He'd already left, but he'd driven from Colorado Springs to Alva already 2 other times and engaged this girl in sexual assaults in the room, and then would reward her afterwards, take her to the Walmart store. At the time we had a restaurant, Taco Mayo, take her out there to eat. And then it was just their little secret. And he would come back, even though she knew it was wrong, didn't want to do it. He was manipulating her, a much older adult, 23 years old. So we followed up on that, sent a lead out to the Internet Crimes Against Children investigators in Colorado Springs. And lo and behold, that wasn't the only girl he was targeting. There was girls in Nebraska, all through Colorado, New Mexico. So they were able to arrest him, put him in jail. But then we started realizing, hey, children are being extorted or sextorted for physical means, and then also additional images. Another young lady in Northwest Oklahoma, single mom who was a professional lady, 2 younger daughters. One was a sophomore in high school, the other one was in junior high. The sophomore in high school hears the junior high daughter talking on the phone to what sounds like an adult male. Mom comes home, tells her mom about that. Mom just sort of blows it off. She's making supper and then calls the young daughter to come down. After a while, she doesn't come down, so the mother goes upstairs and the daughter's trying to delete stuff off her phone. So we got the phone, digitally extracted the evidence on it, and in 3 days, she'd made 103 sexually explicit video clips and 74 sexually explicit still images. So self-generated and what we're calling this child sexual abuse material. And it sent that out. There was like 24 different leads throughout the nation that were sent out for guys that were targeting her. And it was just like one group got a hold of her, and then they contacted several. Hey, I've got a live victim. And then she was getting hit from all, and just self-generating child sexual abuse material for these individuals. So majority of my sextortion cases till about October 21 were that. And then it started transitioning to financial sextortion. And now it switched to, instead of females, we're targeting teenage males. We had cases in Moreland. So the chief over there, Bobby Kane, calls me on a Saturday night. Hey, I've got a mother and young son across from me. And I said, let me guess, you're getting extorted financially. How'd you know that? Because we're getting swamped with these calls right now. So look on his phone, check on the settings. Sure enough, he sent me a screenshot of where the kid had sent like, I think $30 in green dot cards, which he gotten from the Woodward Walmart. And the guy was now saying $30, laughing, I wanted $300. So he sent it to me. I look at the flag on the caller, and it's a foreign name, and it comes back to the Ivory West Coast of West Africa. So we had groups there, Ivory Coast and Nigeria, who were targeting English-speaking youths, a lot in the United States, some in Australia, some in Great Britain, but then pretending to be like a female about their age. Hey, you want to have fun, you want to talk, communicate back and forth. Hey, you want to do something neat, like what? And then the young male received like a nude image of a young female. Hey, send me one of yours. we're talking about stuff that happens between 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock in the morning, and these kids aren't thinking straight, and that kid took a picture, sent it, hey, promise you'll delete it, and then as soon as he sent that picture, hey, actually, I'm so-and-so, if you don't send me so much money, I'm gonna send this to all your contacts on Snapchat. No, you won't. And then all of a sudden he gets a call from one of his friends, hey dude, why'd you send me this picture? Somebody's trying to blackmail me, delete it, delete it, delete it. Then he got scared, talked his mom to driving him to Walmart, spent all his money, $30 on a green dot card, calls the guy back up, hey, scratch that number off the back of that green dot card. Well, that's only $30. I said $300. I don't have $300. Well, I'm going to start sending them off. I'm going to make you viral. So it's a lot of psychological pressure on a young individual. And then they got scared, and finally he disclosed to his mom, who did the right thing.
And I think it's important for people who may be listening to this, and who, just because of our nature as parents, to sort of protect our own mind almost from this, because this is scary, to have a child in this era. And so then we tell ourselves a lie, and that is that wouldn't happen to my child. My child wouldn't do these things. My child, it's almost like parents think it, or in a way we want to judge these poor children that are being extorted like this. But I think it's important for people to understand that these are children that are very successful in school, good children that are raised in good families in so many cases. These aren't just children that, everybody is thinking, oh, well, those children must not be well watched by their families, or, this is not a reason to judge children. These people are experts at breaking down the barriers of vulnerable children who, like you say, don't have the sophistication, the emotional intelligence and sophistication to guard themselves against this, especially for children who, growing up is hard, and especially for 13, 14, 15-year-old boys, it's a very difficult time. So, kind of let people know that it can be that we as parents need to just guard against this. And how do we guard against it?
Yeah. So, it's obvious, just like anything else, when we want to talk to our kids about things that even might make us uncomfortable, but the more and more we talk about that, the more and more we get past that physiological response where we get like tight, and more normalized it gets for our kids. But we want to tell our kids that, hey, at that age, they're going to know the difference between right and wrong. But just like the parents are, nobody's perfect. Everybody makes mistakes, and kids are going to make a bunch of mistakes. Have them understand that there's never a mistake so bad that they can't tell a responsible adult. Hopefully you as the parent, or some counselor, or some teacher, or somebody else, a coach that they trust, where they can say, hey, I made a mistake. This is what happened. I need some help. And that's what we hear in law enforcement and our other professionals. We have mental health professionals, medical professionals, Department of Human Services workers that deal with this on a day basis. And we're out there to try to protect the kids, try to help them out of this, and realize that this is an epidemic right now. And the reason I'm saying that, since 21, and since this financial sextortion sort of switched around, we've had an excess of 20 suicides of young males across the United States because they didn't think they had any other way out, because they're going to be shamed. And they all came from good families, active in sports, active in their schools, church-going kids. And then parents wake up the next day and their son doesn't come downstairs, and they send the daughter up, and lo and behold, they see the most awful things. So that's where I got that from a parent that said, we're giving them technology, or putting a dangerous tool in their hands, and they don't have the intellectual capability, emotional maturity to handle these dangerous devices. And we've given them all this freedom, and now it's going to be hard to take that freedom back from them. But we're responsible as parents to make sure that our kids grow up to be good, healthy adults. One way of doing that is showing them about boundaries and helping them understand the dangers of technology.
And approaching it, I think, in a way that is non-judgmental. And these are difficult, like he said, these are difficult subject matters to talk about. We all, at my age, I had to talk to my daughter about really a different thing. But if I was raising a child today with this kind of access to so many dangerous things on the internet. I for sure think that I would sit down and really have these conversations and be open about coming to me and talking to me and them protecting themselves. One of the things that you and I talked about was if parents are dealing with some of this, which I think probably there are, and they don't know what to do, there are some resources on the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and you can self-report there. So
right, they have a cyber tip line. If you go to, if you just Google NCMEC or NCMEC, National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, I think it takes you to a website, www.missingkids.org. And they've got a bunch of different headings and resources. Part of that is the cyber tip line. You can self-report. They'll ask you what device, what internet service provider, Roblox, Minecraft, Call of Duty, whatever the kids were playing. It could be Snapchat, it could be TikTok, it could be anything, Telegram, Discord. We're getting tips on all different of these networks. And then there's also, for the kids that are being financially extorted, a lot of those are groups from Nigeria and Ivory West Coast of Africa. So IC3.gov is the Federal Bureau of Investigation website. You can also self-report on there for that. Right now, Nigeria, the United States has an extradition treaty with Nigeria. So because we had this epidemic of suicides, the FBI took a lead on that and went over there. Just recently, I think September of last year, we had 2 Nigerian brothers sentenced to 17 and a half years. And that resulted because of the suicide of a young man in the state of Michigan as a result of being financially extorted.
that young man, his father was a legislator, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that case. It was very interesting, very horrible case.
Yeah. I mean, and you can Google. There's a lot of resources on Google Sextortion, and it's going to give you a bunch of different resources. What another group that's come up recently that's doing a lot of sextortion is 764 group, and you can Google that too. And they basically have a script on how to extort young, vulnerable males and females. And it's an epidemic. They've identified like 13,000 kids have been contacted by the 764 group since 2021, and they're targeting people to do self-mutilation along with self-generated child sexual abuse material. So they're having kids pose nude and then cutting their arms, cutting their legs, cutting their bodies with knives. And there's very dangerous groups, criminal groups out there that are targeting our kids and all these devices. And so as parents, it's important that we don't shy away from technology for the children, but make sure there's safeguards for the kids, and that we protect our kids from the dangers that lurk online.
We will provide in this post. We're going to provide these sites for you to self-report. Also, I'm going to encourage everybody to go ahead and write your questions in the comment section. We're going to go ahead and do a live where we recontact Steve Tanio on the phone, and then we can take some of these questions and have him answer some of them, and also go ahead and send us your hardest questions. If you're really stuck in something, we definitely want to reach out to him and let him help you find some resources to get the help you need. So, well, Steve, thank you so much for coming in. This is such an important topic, and I was really looking forward to going ahead and doing it. It's just heartbreaking, the parents who have lost and, just never thought that giving their child a phone was going to mean that they were exposed to this kind of thing.
Right. So. I appreciate you making the public aware of this, and the more we can make the public aware of this,
absolutely,
hopefully we can prevent.
So important.
That stuff. Yep.
Well, it's Rachel Van Horn from Woodward News and Off the Press. We're signing off. Thank you.